Hey, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Carlo Aragoncillo, Director of Veterans Affairs for the City of Philadelphia. I'd like to first start off by telling a little bit about myself. Over there on the right-hand side is a photo of myself and my brother. I was born into a Marine Corps family. That's one of us. That's at the organization day my father had at his military unit. I made the wise decision, actually joined the Army. So went over to Iraq, as you see there in the photo. Went to Al-Anbar province, spent about 11 months there. 3 months after I got married to my wife, Shelly, who's sitting in the audience right here. After a series of events, found myself working in the city of Philadelphia under city council, and now as the director of the Veterans Affairs office. Also want to introduce you to one of my good friends, Staff Sergeant Kevin Knight. I remember the first day we got into through the gateway in Afghan, Kuwait. Sat down next to him on a bus, got out of the sweltering heat, about 130-degree weather. Never experienced that before. I sat down next to him. I said, "Hey, how's everything going?" He's 2nd platoon sergeant. I'm 1st platoon platoon leader at the time. I said, "Hey, how do you think this is going to go?" He said, "Sir, this is my 3rd deployment. I work in IT, the civilian side, and also in the Army. But it's what I've done in the military. I'm not sure what I'm going to do when I get home." And that got me thinking. This is the first day we're in country. Had no idea what it was going to be like. The only thing I'm thinking about is getting home, figuring out how to be a married man, start a family, find myself in a new home and a new job. So as I transition out of the military, now in reserve status, I found 3 tenets that I spoke to Kevin about that we share a lot of commonalities, and a lot of service members that come into my office. Talking about inclusiveness and family, structure that they once had in the military, clear chain of command, also that sense of purpose. Unfortunately, there's a term we coined and we heard about in one of the last modules called identity dislocation. When I transitioned out of service, like I said, I was so focused on trying to reintegrate back into a family setting, trying to figure out what does my community look like, what does my tribe look like. So there's a lot of disconnection. And unfortunately, working for the city of Philadelphia at times also found that as an institution, they were also disconnected. So there's a lot of similarities trying to find my way, feeling lost, not having that sense of purpose. The same can be said about the city of Philadelphia, unfortunately. It's the nation's first capital. 3 of the 5 branches: U.S. Navy, born on October 13th, 1775. Marine Corps, November 10th, 1775. And also the Army, June 14th, 1775. All 3 were born there. Now, when you're looking at the composition of Pennsylvania as a state, there are no major military installations. The culture, tradition, and history that started these 3 branches, and then Air Force, and then Coast Guard, were born out of the city of Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. But we've come so far away from that. So one of the challenges I see coming in through my office are issues around homelessness, unemployment, underemployment, mental health care access, a lack of a network, not sure what jobs to integrate back into when you get out of service. Unfortunately, in the city of Philadelphia, we've had limited interaction at scale with the military and veteran community. There are hiring practices that are way outdated, dating back to the 50s and in the 70s. Civil service, which a lot of people think about, law enforcement, police, fire, EMS, composed of 81% of hiring initiatives. But what about the other 19%? So there's a hiring deficit when it comes to hiring all the other jobs that are out there, to include teachers, public school systems. And unfortunately, there's a decentralized recruiting effort. There's a lot of misunderstanding when it comes to hiring military and veterans. The latest poll of data dates from 2012 to 2015. What you see right there, on average, will hire about 3,000 new employees into the city of Philly. Unfortunately, only about 4% on average are represented in the city. And I'm trying to change that. But not only to increase the effort and support of veterans, but also to change and influence up to our key leaders, decision makers, and legislators. Too often we find ourselves almost at the mercy of these people who we rely on so heavily to make these decisions without really having a clear understanding of what issues and challenges we're faced with when we come out of service. So I present to you VIPS, a new initiative through my office, the Office of Veterans Affairs, Veterans in Public Service. It's going to be a fellowship that mirrors a lot of other programs that exist out there. I'll get to that in a second. But the reason why I created this, and we're launching shortly in the year 2020, calendar year, is because we identified 110 different unique departments through the city of Philadelphia to include fire, police, and EMS. But there's also 17 council members under city council, mayor's office. And then to look at the elected officials, state senate, state reps, Congress members as well. We have value, and we can present that and show these people, show the community that we are an asset within our neighborhood. And that's not to include the over 200 nonprofit organizations that exist within the city of Philadelphia, also the 300 public schools that are in dire need of teachers and leaders. These are some of the partners that exist, already doing very similar work. But what's unique about the VIPs program is that instead of using DoD Skill Bridge, and I know it's all under the DoD TAP umbrella, hiring our heroes, U.S. Chamber of Commerce, we're looking at it from, instead of a top-down approach, looking from the bottom up. Being on the ground is one of the best things I've learned, and also trusting those on the ground within the community, especially as a commander in the Army. Having learned that and taking those best practices from the military to also translate it into what we do in the Office of Veterans Affairs is what we're trying to exude and set an example for the rest of the community. Currently, there are 0 cities taking this approach. Now, the end goals are both short-term and long-term. Short-term, I want to introduce a 12 to 16-week format to introduce service members 365 days out, at the agreement, working with the different commands that exist within the area, to put them into the different departments that I listed earlier. Also, to give them that experience, leveraging project management, operations, supply chain logistics, not just the CDL licensed drivers, not that there's anything wrong with that, but also give people another chance to use what they've done before in the military and put it back into the city setting. Most importantly, what you see right there is to break down some of the stereotypes. Too often we hear about people who are affected by PTS. Too often we hear the terms weird veteran. So to take away from that, to give people the face time with the elected officials, this is what the aim of this program is to do. Some of the other things we have listed here, there will be an intense screening process. It's going to be very hands-on at the very beginning. Rather than relying on a cohort, we're going to be doing a one-on-one approach. So we're going to be working in sprints versus having to do 10 chalks at a time. There's going to be an education component as well. We've already built partnerships with Drexel University, Temple, St. Joe's, Villanova, UPenn, and Community College of Philadelphia to help and allow us to allow veterans in at a reduced rate. Also, a cultural integration aspect. If you guys want to come to Philadelphia, anyone wants to come to Philadelphia, check out the best cheesesteaks. You can do that. You can look at the Liberty Bell or run the Rocky Steps. And also, if you want to get onto the field, watch your first Eagles game. Go Birds. You can do that as well. So I'll leave you with this. My ask is to help me promote this, to let other people know and also other cities know that this is something that's coming soon. I'm looking for partners, anyone who can help amplify the message, and also funding, because we do need dedicated staff. It just can't be an Army of 1, it just can't be me or the staff of 3 that I have in my office. So some of the next steps, we are looking for participants. Eventually we're going to move to spouses as well, scale out to other cities, and also have a direct line of communication to DoD TAP program. I'll leave you with this. We don't need a handout. We as veterans need a hand up. We don't need you to get us through the door. We need someone to open the door so we can walk through ourselves. So that Kevin Knight and other veterans don't have to go through the transition that we went through. Thank you.
Wonderful. Mary Beth, we'll start with you.
Great presentation also, and I think you have a space that we haven't really heard today, which is kind of unique. And I would love to see what works with yours and you being able to share that with other cities and things that are going on. One of the things that I really like is that you're looking to leverage experience. And so you're not trying to necessarily retrain, you're looking at the stereotypes and trying to help them translate and help that not just on the veterans being able to translate that, but what the employers can see them doing. And so I think that that's a really big need in giving them the face time, because we know that stereotypes are broken based on interactions, not necessarily just by stories and things that we see. And I like the idea of a lot of people think these programs are token hires, and that we're doing, like you said, like a handout and focusing on that, look, these are people that are qualified, they're skilled, they've been doing these things, and so we're just making the opportunities available. So
Thank you.
Great job.
Thanks.
You are really the perfect person for this job. I mean, I want to move to Philadelphia. you definitely have the purpose and passion. I hope you found it in Philadelphia. It definitely sounds like it from your presentation. I love all of the stats and data. It's all about data and showing how the veterans are contributing to the city once they've arrived. And the wraparound services with the community mental health is really important. Love how you tagged on the spouses as well, because we are coming with them if they've got them. So we'd love to also be welcomed into the city of Philadelphia, and that's great. I would, of course, encourage, you said there's not a lot of military bases around there, but maybe Guard and Reserve, if there are family members there looking to direct hire authorities, modeling what we've done in the federal government might be just a little added piece for some of those spouses. Also looking to the economic development piece in the VA, happy to connect you with them as well, because they're part of that transition story.
Thank you.
Carlo, that was a really good presentation. You were clear, you were really clear about your plan, where you are, what's next, which I really love. As you gain success on this in Philly, I'd love to talk to you then about your point about getting this to other cities and how you do that, and some of the organizations you might connect with to do that.
Thank you.
Now, being a Cowboys fan, I'm not sure if I really want to be helpful. I think this is amazing that it's not just, the cities talk a lot, right? There's the mayor challenge on suicide and stuff, and so there's a lot of cities around the country, mayors that are talking about things, but where y'all have actually cataloged all the different divisions within that you could do this in. What I would like to see is how you're going to measure success, right? Like where's your veteran employment rates right now? Where targeting, like, are the universities or the colleges or are they going to have a target goal of X percentage of employees? Those kind of things. But this is really, really cool. And when you want to bring it to Dallas,
All right.
let me
Thank
know.
you. Appreciate it.
Let's give Carlo a round of applause.
Great job, buddy.